In the headlines, Presidential Election Tribunal to deliver judgment live on Wednesday. Federal government meet labor leaders over planned strike. 27-kilometer Lagos Blue Line rail begins operation to transport 175,000 passengers daily. And away from Nigeria, Gabon new leader vows free elections after transition. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I am Abdurrahman Omar. Thanks for joining. And now we begin. The Presidential Election Petition Court is set to deliver judgment on Wednesday in the petitions of the emergence of Bola Tinubu as the winner of the February 25th presidential election. The Court of Appeal, in a statement signed by its registrar Umar Bangari, confirmed this on Monday, saying the proceedings will be open to live broadcast by interested television stations across the country. The Labour Party LP, the People's Democratic Party PDP, and the Allied People's Movement APM, as well as their presidential candidates, had petitioned the tribunal seeking to nullify the election of President Bola Tinubu as the winner of the 2023 presidential election. Judgment is also being expected at governorship election tribunals in all the 25 states, National Assembly, as well as the State Assembly election petitions. Now, earlier we spoke with Rapulo Ndoka, the immediate past National Publicity Secretary in Nigeria Bar Association, which he spoke on the development.
No, this is not the first time. But the good thing is that it is a departure from what we always knew or what we are used to. So I think it's a very good development that the decision and the judgment will be televised for all to see. Because this is actually the climax of the entire exercise. The evidence has been, the both parties and all the parties have actually brought their evidence before the court. Now it's for the judges, after evaluating everything, to now give their judgment. So I think it's a very wonderful, thing that it will be televised and everybody will get to see the reasoning of the judges at the same time. I can't really say for the court, but I think that it helps to, one of the bad things that happen whenever judgments are given is that it gives room for a lot of speculation. So when judgments are given, different parties interpret it to suit their own maybe whatever they want people to hear about it. So even with the same judgment, maybe the plaintiffs would, or the petitioners would just give an interpretation to it. The respondents would give a different interpretation to the whole thing. Now, most of the times, it actually creates some chaos in the entire the polity. But I think that if it is televised, everybody will get to hear these things for themselves. I will not need to rely on second-hand information. I wouldn't need to rely on what somebody else told me when I've not even heard the judgment. In Nigeria, we will notice that most of the times people run with maybe a decision of the court that they've never gone through, they've never heard it, they've never read the decision, and they make postulations, say a lot of things based on what they were told happened in court. So I think that the decision to make it live would also help everybody. Everybody will listen to it. Everybody will make up his mind, this is what the court is saying. So I don't need to listen to somebody else give me an analysis of what he feels the judges thought, the decision of the court was.
All right.
So I get to hear it for myself. I know that they have a limited period of time. I don't know the particular period for them to appeal, but they're expected to appeal to the Supreme Court because, depending the presidential election, they will be going to the Supreme Court to appeal the judgment if they are not satisfied. And naturally, I don't know if people will be satisfied with with the judgment of the Court of Appeal, most of the times the typical Nigerian attitude is I want to exhaust every cadre or hierarchy of courts
all right,
before we get satisfied.
The federal government says it has scheduled a meeting with the leaders of the organized labor on Monday to avert the looming strike action in the country. The Minister of Labor and Employment, Simon Lalong, who stated this during an ongoing press briefing, explained that he had not met with the labor leaders because he did not get adequate brief from the relevant departments before now. Lalong appealed to the leadership of both the Trade Union Congress, TUC, and the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, to prevail on all its affiliate unions to shove their scheduled two-day warning strike and a total shutdown in 21 days. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Labour Congress in Niger State has accused Umar Bago-led administration of excluding the civil servants and pensioners from the 5 billion palliative. The state chairman of the NLC, Idris Abdul Karim Lafeni, and that of the Trade Union Congress, Ibrahim Gana in Mina on Monday, rejected the 110 million naira announced by the governor as palliative for industrial unions, saying that the exclusion of pensioners and civil servants has triggered tension and fear of negative effect on the working class. The organized labor therefore directed all the civil servants and the pensioners across the state to boycott the distribution committee, demanding that 50,000 naira be paid directly to the accounts of each of the civil servants and retirees in the state for 6 months, while pay be suspended until further review of the minimum wage.
On the strike generally, organized labor represents a certain sector of the society, and over the years, we have also included the masses of Nigeria that are also affected by this subsidy removal. So already, when we call up the other strike, there was some silent agreement that if that agreement had been implemented, we could have gone out of this issue we are suffering from. Then, unfortunately, the federal government did not implement even one of the agreement earlier reached.
President Bola Tinubu on Monday met with the Ministers of Defense, Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs behind closed doors at the Council Chamber of the State House, Abuja. In attendance were the Ministers of Defense Badr Abubakar and Bello Matawalli, Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa, Permanent Secretary Abubakar Kana, Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Taurit Labaja, his Navy counterpart Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, and Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar. The meeting centered around the security situation in the country as part of regular briefings by the security chiefs. President Tinubu will later in the day lead a high-powered delegation to attend the G20 summit in New Delhi, India, where he will engage with the world and business leaders to drive investments to Nigeria. Now, the police in Kaduna State have rescued 3 people who were kidnapped by bandits in Zaria local government area of the state. In the statement, the acting spokesman of the Kaduna Police Command, ASP Manir Hassan, said the victims were rescued by police operatives during an aggressive patrol along the Kuriga-Usasa area in Zaria. According to him, the rescue was achieved in partnership with the local vigilante groups, who, acting on credible information, moved into the forest and forced the kidnappers to abandon the victims and escaped into the bush. He explained that the kidnapping was suspected to have been masterminded by the loyalist of a notorious bandit, the late Isa Damwaza, a native of Zaria. Now, following the implementation of the removal of subsidy by President Bola Tinubu on May 29th, communities in Borno State and northeast Nigeria have been experiencing hard times as prices of goods and services have hit rooftop. In this special report, Adamu Ngulde reveals that many residents in Maiduguri have been reacting to the situation, urging the government at all levels to come to their aid. Report.
Inflation caused by the removal of the fuel subsidy has hit many residents of Borno State in northeast Nigeria very hard. before President Bola Tinubu announced the implementation of fuel subsidy removal on May 29, Modu Mustapha, a father of 5 who resides in Ol Maiduguri, Jere local government area of Borno, explained that he used to spend 50 naira to board a motorcycle from his house to the post office. We are really suffering. I hope the government can look into this and bring a positive shift because it is really not easy. Also, a measure popularly called Mudu of maize in the state, which used the salt for 700 naira, is now sold for 1,600, a development that has made it increasingly difficult for him to provide for his family. I can't afford to buy what I used to buy before. My income remains the same despite the high cost of living. I am just thankful for having an understanding family despite not able to care for all their needs. The price of petrol removed from 194 per litre to over 600 naira. Among those deeply affected by the ripple effect of the fuel price hike are parents, students, schools, market women, and motorists. The constant fuel price hike has made it increasingly challenging for transport operators to sustain our businesses, causing financial strain and desperation. In a bid to mitigate the challenges faced by citizens, Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum has raised the number of beneficiaries from 300,000 to 400 households. The governor stated that this is a result of the 5 billion presidential initiative received by the state from the federal government to alleviate the hardship and sufferings among people of the state. Professor Ibrahim Umara is an economic expert, advised the government at all levels.
If the government will come up with an alternative of supplying the crude oil either to Dangote, Kaduna, Wari or Fatako refineries, that this is going to be for domestic consumption, they will refine it and then the price will reduce back either at least just to 250 naira and it will be affordable.
You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming off after the break, we take a look at how solid waste threatens local economy. Details of these and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back, and in case if you are just joining us, this is the news update on Trust TV, and here is a recap of some of our top stories. Presidential election tribunal to deliver judgment live on Wednesday. And federal government meet labor leaders over plant strike. Now to more news. The Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu says the state will deliver the 37-kilometer Red Line project, which runs from Abado to Marina, as part of measures to reduce traffic congestion in the state and to boost its multi-modal mass transport scheme. The governor stated this on Monday when he became the first passenger to embark on a journey aboard the newly launched Lagos Blue Line rail system. Report.
The governor, his deputy, Obafemi Hamzat, and others boarded the train from Marina Terminal to Mile 2. Sanwo-Olu, who was excited during the ride, said the Red Line will be completed before the end of the year. Governor Sanwo-Olu added that flyover bridges being constructed for the Red Line will be commissioned and opened one after the other, starting from the end of September.
The Red Line currently, it's about 96%. And if it doesn't get to 100%, we won't commission it. But we are certain that before the end of the year, we will also commission the Red Line. What you will see to begin to start is by the end of this month, I'll start working by the end of this month or the first week in October, we will start commissioning the bridges.
The ride signifies the commencement of passenger operations on the 27-kilometer Blue Line Rail, which, according to a feasibility study, would convey 175,000 passengers on a daily basis. According to the state government, the partial passenger operation will begin on Tuesday, September 5th from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and afternoon peak from 4 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. It said the operation will start with 12 trips for 2 weeks, ramping up to 76 trips per day. It added that there are over 300 CCTV cameras across the entire rail, with over 30 cameras monitoring tracks alone, while command and control centers are available in all stations along the track. Co-founder and the Chief Growth Officer of Touch and Pay Technologies, Michael Oluwole, say the seamless payment solution has been provided to ease commuting on the train system in the state.
We are particularly excited. It's a long time coming, like I said earlier on. 12 years in the making, and finally today, 4th of September, it has been launched to the public. In terms of number, the train is going to start from 5:30 in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, moving over 800 to 1,000 people at a go.
The Blue Line Rail service has 5 stations, which comprises Marina, National Theatre, Orinle-Gamu, Alaba, and Mile 2.
12 persons were killed and 6 others injured in a crash that occurred on Sunday night on the Obajana-Lokoja Expressway in Kogi State. The crash involved a Toyota Hiace and a Sono truck. According to a statement by the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, a total of 18 persons were involved in the crash. FRSC spokesman Bisi Kazim attributed the incident to speed violation, which resulted to loss of control. Kazim said the FRSC Co-Marshal Dauda Biu called on commercial vehicle operators as well as private vehicle owners to avoid driving against the stipulated speed limits on all roads. Now, residents of Kazana State say indiscriminate dumping of waste is threatening their livelihoods and their local economy. The Milmabe in this report takes us to the overflowing dump sites that are occupying a significant portion of the streets and highlights the urgent need for action. The report.
Abu Lama has been working as a mechanic for decades. His business is now under threat due to rampant dumping of waste in the streets of Katsina, one of the cleanest states in the country.
When a train cannot sit here due to unpleasant smell, we have to change location instead.
Informal businesses, religious centers, and the health being of millions of residents is affected.
We have mosque close to it, and every morning you see children coming here to dispose waste or scavenging. It exposes them to various illnesses.
Cholera and flooding are a common example. Strategic dumping sites are overflowing with garbage. occupying a significant portion of the streets.
The flooding is due to natural causes. It's our actions and inactions of government officials failing to do their jobs. Everywhere you go in Katsina, you see refuse dome here and there.
The government says it's in a transition period that involves a lot of assessment and planning.
When this new government come on board, and it happens that Katsina State Environmental Protection Agency has experienced the change of leadership. He came on board with the zeal that he wants to do more than what the agency has been doing over time.
A visit to the Waste Management Agency. The reality is depressing. Waste management trucks are grounded that needs mechanical revival.
Things are in the pipeline. The only thing is that we have to follow all the bureaucratic system, and the governor is willing to release funds for the repairs and upgrade of our trucks so that we can be able to operate optimally.
Until then, experts say issues of waste management of this magnitude, emergency measures comes first, then assessments. Jamil Mabay, Trust TV, Katsina.
The residents of Asaba, the Delta State capital, have been lamenting the stress in securing residential houses as well as the high cost of rent due to the activities of middlemen, popularly called agents, in the state and the present economic hardship in the country. To this end, they have appealed for government on their regulations of house rents and agents' activities to ease the stress involved in searching for rental accommodations. Jonathan Awanyai reports.
Shelter is one of the basic needs of life. In Asaba, Delta State capital, residents have lamented that rent is exorbitant and way out of reach of the poor, thus making it difficult to access its essential needs. Residents who spoke with Trust TV opined that the low-income earners and even the middle class struggle to secure decent apartments. They also expressed dismay that most of the housing estates built by government were for the rich, as no civil servant in the state could afford them, while blaming the estate agents for being responsible.
Too much. Like, I feel that government should look into it, because Asaba is a civil servant area. It's not, there's no big company or maybe oil company in the city or anything. It's just normal hustling. So sometimes the landlord, they will be looking for a responsible person in their house, but there's no responsible that can pay such amount of money. Like a civil servant that's earning around maybe 100,000 or 80,000 a month. How can that person afford a house of 1.5 million naira? So it's on the high side. So I think the government should look into it. So
these boys called Yahoo boys. These boys, they have the money. So somebody who is a civil servant, because Asaba is a civil servant town, somebody who's a civil servant may be pricing this particular thing for 250. A Yahoo boy will just come, say, Papa, just give me 800, I will pay, no problem. So with that now, who doesn't like good thing? So landlords aim these people, and with that, the cost of building is very, very high. The cost of rentage is very, very high in Asaba. And I think government needs to do something, maybe by regulating the price or anything, if it's possible.
For the increase in house rents, the tenants called on landlords to consider the economic hardship bedeviling the country. They urged the state government to intervene in the housing sector to address the rising cost of rents in the state capital.
We are calling on the government to regulate the cost of house rent in Asaba so that it becomes affordable for the people.
Questions goes to the agents who parade themselves as agents, because landlord will put house for 200,000, they will make it 500,000, and they will say agency fee, caution fee, landlord agreements, this and this, all the packages they will just bring it together. It's here. This Asaba is a civil servant town.
And away from Nigeria, General Bryce Olusegun Nguema, who led a coup last week that toppled Gabon's 55-year-old ruling dynasty, took the oath of office as the interim president on Monday, promising free, transparent and credible elections to restore civilian rule, but without giving a time frame. He also vowed to grant amnesty to political prisoners in a speech in which he insisted the coup had saved Gabon from bloodshed after disputed elections. Olusegun, head of the elite Republican Guard, last Wednesday led officers to the 10th President Ali Bongo Ondimba, scion of a family that had ruled the oil-rich Central African nation since 1967. The ousting came just moments after Bongo, 64 years old, was proclaimed victor in presidential elections, a result branded a fraud by the opposition. He said he was seeking the participation of all Gabon's coup groups to draft a new constitution, which will be adopted by referendum. Olusegun, 48 years old, wearing the red ceremonial costume of the Republican Guard, also said he will instruct the future government to consider ways of amnestying prisoners of conscience and facilitating the return of all exiles from abroad. And finally, on sports news, the Super Eagles come for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Sao Tome and Principe will now open on Wednesday in Oyo. The camp was initially expected to open on Monday, but it has now been shifted to Wednesday. The invited players are expected to start arriving in the country on Monday night. A list of 23 invited players was made public by the Nigeria Football Federation (NFF) on Sunday. The game is slated for the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium, Oyo, on Sunday, September 10th. The Super Eagles, on 12 points from the previous 5 matches, are already guaranteed a place in the finals, but must earn at least a point to be sure of topping the group ahead of second-placed Guinea-Bissau, who are on 10 points and play at home to Sierra Leone in Bissau. The 2023 AFCON finals will be hosted by Cote d'Ivoire. And with that, we have come to the end of the Trust News Update. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and to join our YouTube live streams for more updates and trending news. With that, bye and bye for now.